information on him. We've never had any liability insurance. We've been paying the sexton to clean up the cemetery, so I'm really curious about where this gentleman comes into it. We've never seen him taking care of anything in the cemetery. We've never had trees come up missing before, but he took a 100-year-old oak tree, he kept the oak tree, he's probably sold the wood from the oak tree, and that oak tree belongs to us. So we would be setting a very dangerous precedent by saying, oh, oopsie, we're just going to let it go because we have a cemetery full of oak trees, and arguably some of them need to be maintained better than they are, but we certainly don't want people just going and cutting them down. I think that we need to pursue this.
Okay, to start with, not everybody tells the truth. I've never hired this guy to do anything.
You said you hired him. You said you hired him. You weren't telling the truth?
When I got the bill approved for G&L to cut that tree down in section F, I said the bill was cheaper if we found somebody to take the wood. So they didn't have to take the wood. So the guy behind the North Point, I've seen him cutting in the Coquitlam River, I've seen him cutting on Jose Road, I've seen him cutting on Schmidt Road, and he does sell it there behind the North Point. So I asked him if he wanted the wood when the tree got cut down, and he said yes.
But
So
we still pay $9.50.
I am
We still
speaking
pay
now.
$9.50.
I am speaking now. And he has the equipment to cut trees down. In fact, he wanted that tree cut in 10-foot lengths so he could just pick it up and put it on his trailer. Now, mind you, he must have some help someplace because he's a little handicapped. He's got his left side is not functioning at full capacity. But I have never hired him for anything but to come in and take the wood after G&L cut the tree down in the lengths that he requested. So that answers those questions for you.
So she said her piece, you said your piece. I'm the one that invested time. I'm the one that watched the videos. I'm the one that stood there when the sheriff's department watched the video and said, I can't believe one man took the whole tree down between 7:30 and 9:15, loaded it on the truck, drove it out. He said, I can't believe it. I could never do that. You're talking about a tree that was like this. I mean, the wood alone was worth a fortune, and to think it actually became chopped liver, to me, to be burned in somebody's fireplace, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. The officers standing there weren't buying that pig that was trying to be sold without feet either, because that just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And I think the worst thing is when the tree disappeared, I came in. And I told you I was going to go. I sat in your office on a Thursday. I had talked to Solution. I would be there on Monday. No mention that anybody was hired for this.
Nobody was hired to take that tree down.
Nobody, no mention of anybody going in the cemetery picking anything up in there.
No.
You
Before
never.
we approved the bill for G&L.
No, I'm talking about the Thursday when you and I had a conversation. I told you we got a tree missing in the cemetery. And you said, well, go investigate it. And I said, no problem. I'll go investigate it. I'll go through every one of those tapes. And I did, and I found it. And the flash drive was given to the sheriff's department. They've got it. It's black and white. So, and you think it should have been kept in-house. I'm sorry. When somebody goes on public property, I don't know about you, but I want you to tell me your prize tree. I'll show up and I'll take it down. And then we'll just keep it between you and me. It'll be no big deal. I'm sorry. I know you well enough, Sam. That would never happen.
So when we approved G&L, the bid was for $950. After discussion by the board, we had said that we wanted an additional tree taken down in section F to make it easier to navigate that new road, because it was so difficult to navigate through with those trees being so close. We said one more tree and we approved up to $2,000. This gentleman didn't take down a second tree. He took down the one that was already, hollowed out at the bottom from being hit with lightning. He took that one out, didn't even take care of the wood. You had to have some other guy come and get the wood, and yet we still paid him $950. And he wasn't able to follow the direction of the board and take out the second tree because there wasn't enough money left. It would seem like there would have been enough money left since he didn't even have to do anything with the wood since you had this guy you hired on the side. I don't understand how that happened, but again, would like to proceed.
And the taxpayers paid
We
to
are
clean
not-
up all the mess. That's the worst part in my
Yeah,
book.
we end up paying the sexton to clean up the mess he left when he took our tree and made a profit off of it.
So I make a motion that this goes to the prosecutor.
It's
and,
already at the prosecutor. It's out of our hands, according to our attorney, this is at the prosecutor.
Well,
when it went to the
That's
sheriff.
not quite what I was told.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was told.
Well, I mean, it's
Says
it's
report's
just the sheriff, so, as a matter of fact,
They're waiting on a vote from
they
this
are
board.
waiting on a vote from us to proceed to the
Yeah.
prosecutor's office, and I'm gonna second his motion to send it to the prosecutor's office.
Who said they're waiting for a vote?
The sheriff, Sheriff Cunningham, told me they were waiting for an action by the board. So,
Is that on this report or not?
This report says closed,
Right.
and that's why I
right
inquired
there
with
under
the
status,
sheriff.
and that's why the question was asked.
He said it is sitting at the sheriff's department waiting for our vote as a board to move it forward.
Do you have that in writing?
Actually, I just spoke with him on the phone, but would you like me to try to call him real quick? I don't think he's in the office this late.
There's a motion on the floor. Was it seconded?
It was.
That's a roll call vote.
Davidson.
No.
So, wait a minute, what's the motion for? They want to vote to know what?
To
To
move it
set the
forward to the
prosecutor.
Let's
and-
go to the prosecutor.
This goes forward, and the damages will be for us to be reimbursed, the monies that have been
No, that's not part of the motion.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta give it to the prosecutor. She decides whether, how
So we
much
don't
it's
know,
gonna be.
we don't know what the outcome is going to be.
No.
We're just
We
voting
don't know
on it.
the outcome, but if you'd like, I can modify.
Can I just
Also,
ask
you
a
can
question?
modify. We can sue civilly too for the damages, so.
So we're just voting to
Let it
do
go
whatever
to
the prosecutor decides. Doesn't matter what it is.
Well, once
Well-
it's in her hands, we can't tell her what to do, so.
Okay, so if this doesn't pass, then what, the prosecutor's just gonna drop it? I mean,
Well,
if she already has it,
I
what
would
difference
probably
does it
make a
what we
motion
vote?
to drop it. And move on.
But
It's a
I guess my
tree.
question is, if the prosecutor.
It's
a tree.
It's worth a lot of money.
What's got the money for it?
Right.
Stops anybody from going to cut
Needs to
trees.
be
Yeah, what's the
restitution
next thing to
somehow.
be cut down?
Don't you have a conflict of interest even voting? You hired them.
I didn't hire him, I didn't pay him
Somebody
20
said
cents.
it.
He's just
Right.
I didn't pay him 20 cents. I gave him the wood.
Is that what it says in the?
Contact with supervisor. I hired Paul to clean up the tree that was cut down in the back of the cemetery.
Well,
So
it
we're-
was a miswritten statement by the sheriff.
Well, but Paul
I
said
was
the same
talking to him
thing.
by phone.
Paul also said to the sheriff
Don't hire them.
that he was hired by you.
No,
So both of you have a consistent story that you hired him to do this.
I did not hire him. We did not pay him 20 cents.
Oh, he got
You pay
the wood,
him-
which
yeah.
is worth a hell of a lot more,
Yeah.
because he cut down a really nice tree.
That
Probably sent
wasn't
it
the
to
wood
the
I
mill.
gave him, and he knew it.
Well, then we should move forward so people realize they can't steal our trees.
Yeah, why don't you
So,
let it go to the
So, okay, we
prosecutor?
got a motion on the floor. We're at-
Well, is this to send it, to move forward and send it to the prosecutor's
Yes.
office? Is that where it ends?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
well,
You said it was already there.
There'll be a second
there'll be a
part.
second part. Okay,
Yeah,
good
it's
enough.
already in prosecutor, so that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, it's closed as the cover.
I don't know where it's at. I mean, the police take a report, the deputy take a report. He's closed his report because he's done investigating. That's what the close refers to.
Yeah.
Typically, this then goes to the prosecutor's office, and then she decides in due course of time if she's going to issue a warrant. So I don't know where it's at. You'd have to contact the prosecutor's office and see if they have it, or check with the
I would
sheriff.
say
see
you-
if he did
yeah.
something with it.
The sheriff was reading the report to me and said, this is the status, but, you know, you guys can check with him at your own, I'm sure.
So if we vote no, we're not gonna send it to the prosecutor, she's just gonna drop it then and say, okay.
No,
they
she can
voted
still
no.
prosecute. That's her choice.
That's what I mean, I don't understand what this motion is.
Do we support the prosecutor to pursue the person that stole our tree, or do we say we don't support the prosecutor?
So show your
Are we gonna support the letter of the law, or are we gonna say, hey, guess what, folks? Who gives a rip? You can go do whatever you want. I'll come take a tree out of your front yard and we'll see if you got the same feelings. I don't think so. In fact, I know not.
There's still a motion on the floor. Continue the vote.
Yes, sir. Cruz.
What is the motion again?
I'm thinking,
Oh, my
motion made by Charlie, seconded by Lori to move forward and send it to the prosecutor's office.
Right.
Except that it's probably already at the prosecutor's office. So
Yes.
yeah,
So we're just approving for the prosecutor to continue. Apparently.
So that's
If the
a
sheriff
yeah.
says it's waiting for our approval, that's what we're approving right now.
class.
Yes.
DeShano?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Was that everybody?
Yeah, because I had already asked.
Oh,
Sam.
Sam got interrupted.
Well, maybe it was before discussion, I don't know, but I got a no out of them. Do you want to change your vote?
Did you vote?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, it was kind of interrupted, so I lost count there.
Tell me.
All right, so I had a guy that I asked 3 months ago to give me a bid on the hall, which was $10,000 less than the original bid. Obviously, you saw me get handed another bid an hour ago. This bid here is for $16,750. And proposed the painting of the Cocktown Township Hall, painting, proposal gutters, downspouts, and corners of building, one color, prepare and paint the floor, exterior doors, color of gutters, downspouts, prepare of building, power wash, metal, siding, and concrete block around the building, to remove dirt, mold, paint, residing on the exterior of the building, then power wash using TSP cleaner. Helps remove paint residue, rust, spots, screw heads. It would remove the screw heads?
Oh, spray rust inhibitor over the screw heads, rust spots.
Apply rust inhibitor to rusty areas, apply pro industrial multi-surface acrylic paint to gutters, downspouts, doors, along with main building, body of building, being metal or block. While power wash interior power wash interior building, meaning front entrance, no paint on front entrance or brick. $16,750.
Would you be able to get a copy of that, please?
You want a copy of this, man?
Yeah.
Obviously, we had a bid for about $27,000 from Remus Painting. What's that? Remus Painting out of Bay City. Complete exterior will need to be power washed to remove dirt, dust, and loose paint, peeling paint. Building has been different surfaces to be painted. Each surfaces will be properly prepared and the correct primer and finish paint will be applied. Windows will be be reglazed as needed. Rental services, siding and doors. TSP will be used during the power washing. So this is pretty much the same methods. Primers and finished paint will be applied without runs, sags, chips. Each coat will be thoroughly dried before the next coat can be put on. There's the work, so obviously this is about twice as much money. And then I got this bid from Bradley Painting. And this one is for $15,425. And thank you. He speaks of he speaks of power washing to clean the building, prepare. Something caulking on the cracked blocks. I don't know what that is
So
for.
prep includes caulking cracks in the block.
Oh, that includes. All right, and then paint material, paint metal siding, eaves, and downspouts, doors, and all top of the line Sherman-Williams paint. And, well, he made a note here afterwards that says that this doesn't include the roof. Well, none of these include the roof. So, none of the bids include the roof. So, one wants half the money up front, one wants a $5,000 deposit, and I think he's willing to accept the proposal as terms of payment. He says he'll work out the terms of payment.
Proposal is accepted
Yeah.
within 30 days.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's, the ARPA money has been brought up several times already through the course of our discussions. And that's obviously something that has been discussed intermittently for a few years that I'm aware of, trying to figure out what we were going to do to allocate this ARPA money. We've had a lot of different suggestions made. We've tried to put things on the agenda multiple times. We've tried to have work sessions about this. We've talked about grants if we were going to do something with the hall. I mean, that was back in December of 2021. And we were talking about getting a grant to actually do more work on the hall to make it an emergency shelter for the people down on the beach. We had quite a conversation about moving in that direction. And still here we are, right at the deadline, without any allocation for the ARPA money because there hasn't been a conversation that's occurred. So we now have 3 bids, which is great because we have 3 of them, but only one of them was actually sealed. There was never any type of a request for proposal put out, and we're talking anywhere from $15,000 to $27,000, well beyond the limit. A proposal should have been put out so that people in the community had the opportunity to bid to do the work within their own community. In addition to that, when this came forward last month, at that point I said just painting the exterior of the building is piecemeal. We don't even know what the full project is going to be because there hasn't been time to sit down and have a conversation like we've requested numerous times to have a work session. What are we going to do with the windows? What are we going to do with heating and cooling? What are we going to do with the floor? All of those things need to be discussed so that we can move forward. In addition to that, we've had a random proposal for doing some work on the doors, which yes, needs to be done, but again, piecemeal. Where are we going to take it with this ARPA money? It needs to be allocated by the end of the year. We have some other big expenditures that need to be considered that haven't even been talked about. We had set some money aside in the cemetery to do some work on the chapel. That has not happened at all. We had approved to take trees down in the cemetery, the pine trees. That has not happened at all. We've talked about Calabaria many, many times. That has never went anywhere. We asked for it to be put on the agenda, not only the Calabaria, very nice, good deal, but that never got put on the agenda, and Mr. Davidson, you said, no, we're not going to put it on the agenda, let's just have an email work session.
Text message too.
Yeah, let's have an email work session. So Charlie and I both submitted to you different ideas for how we wanted to move forward with this hall, and you claimed you never received our responses when we asked you about it. Oh, did you email me? We emailed you. We absolutely emailed you, and that's where it died. So while I appreciate having 3 bids, although only one of them was actually sealed, I think that we need to schedule a work session for next week to have a serious conversation about how we're going to allocate this money so that the people of this community don't lose it. There's plenty of places to put it. There are 5 of us here. We have been elected to represent all of the people of this township and should all have a conversation about how this money is allocated. We're running out of time. We've been playing around for 3 years. Let's sit down and have a reasonable conversation to be able to move forward for the people of our community.
How much money is there?
It was 460,
480,000.
Oh my gosh.
but
Yeah.
we spent 10,000 on a sign.
Yes, we
So
did.
there's not 480 there anymore, it's something
Yeah.
like 460.
And then
We were
we
gonna
have the
use
scenic
60,000
point,
for the scenic point, but we didn't do that. We then reproportioned that 60,000 to come from the general fund. But the moral of the story is, if we're gonna put $400,000+ into that building, you might as well plow it down. We don't rent it enough. And real simple math for everybody to understand is, okay, we get $1,000 when we rent it for a wedding, right? So then we give them back a $160 deposit. And then we pay $180 for the security out of that deposit. Then we pay our guy to go in there and clean it. So we met with the family and the others, so 4 hours. And when you get done, for a building that size, we got $520. We paid you to rent that building. Because between the wear and tear on the building, the utility bills that are atrocious, you know, my understanding is there was a bid that came in for just the mechanical at $125,000, or 120. Between 122 and 125,000. And there's other more economical ways to make sure that you have good heating and cooling other than just that way. One township put in air-to-air units. We put them in a sanctuary in Pennsylvania. That township spent $30,000 on their air-to-air units. So I don't know why we need a $125,000 heating system. It's just beyond me, and it hasn't went down because that bid was over 6 months ago. So we do need, you know, and text messages don't mean nothing, because when I first got on this board, I got columbarium bids, and it was at $12,000, and that same columbarium, because we sat on our hands, even though we transferred $60,000, is $15,000 now. That's a shame. That's a waste, and if we want to talk about 2%, that's more than 2%, my friend. So, if we're talking about, let's be straight with each other and people. Let's have the workshop next Monday, 7 p.m., and let us work. That's my motion for a workshop, 7 p.m., for the full Board of Trustees. So actually, I don't even know that we can call it a workshop. We'd have to call it a special meeting. In reference to the agenda will be allocating ARPA money and the town hall.
I will second that.
So we're gonna vote on this on Monday then?
We're gonna talk about what we're gonna actually do to the hall. We got people spackling windows, and those windows should be replaced. They're 60 years old.
Okay, so when are we gonna have a meeting to vote on this?
We're gonna have
When
a
we're
meeting.
getting together next Monday, this could be voted on, since there are 3 bids
Right.
possibly. To accept the bids. We have to accept the bids prior to, and have contracts in hand prior to the 31st of December regarding the ARPA money.
Okay, so this is a motion made by Charlie, seconded by Lori, to have a special meeting Monday, September 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in regards to allocation maybe of the ARPA money? Anyway, what do we want to do, how we want to spend it?
So let's talk a moment about that. Let's have it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 7 at night.
Well, it's the community's money.
The community can't show up at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They can't vote on it. It's ours.
But they can have
They can
input.
put input.
Input.
What do they see for their town hall? And the meeting will be in the town hall. That needs to be in the motion. It's not gonna be here. People have to be able to see that our chairs are dilapidated. I mean, you can walk through the building, you can look in the coolers, they should be relined. We got Holsinger sitting right over here. He just did our coolers down in the plot. Did an excellent job making sure the coolers were nice and the seals were fixed.
That's a lot of money. What's the date?
Monday,
Yes.
16th. Oh, okay.
Continue on the vote.
Cruz,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Davidson.
No. Okay, the county has asked that we stop the paying for the sewer on 201 Guy Street. If you read this here, it says that they verified the capping of the sewer line, so it's all capped off. So,
I make the motion that stop, not just stop, but if he's paid anything in the last 12 months. if he-
Well, hold on. Discontinue billing sewer debt charges effective 7/22/24. That's the cutoff option that they gave us. For the
They threw it in
sewer
the
debt
house then.
charges. I know, I understand.
Years ago.
Yeah, but this is what, it was requested July 22nd, so we can discontinue it based
So
on
that's
the
the
date they
motion.
requested it.
Just like it says here.
Yeah.
There you go.
did you get that? We're
Well,
discontinuing the sewer line at 201 Guy Street, West Guy Street in Linwood.
And Charlie made that motion?
Yeah,
Yes.
effective 2/22/24.
Seven.
7/22
Yeah.
of 24.
Do I have a, was there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Class,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Davidson,
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
The other thing that we added to the agenda is that I would like to nominate Gary Roof to the Board of Appeals. So,
Mr. Roof has filed to run, no party affiliation in the November election. So appointing him at this time, I mean, if he were to win his election, it's gonna change immediately. So, I mean, is it?
why would it change the Board of Appeals?
Well, because it has to be,
Appeals.
but,
You can't have that.
no, it's gotta be a planning commission person, right? I mean, am I correct?
He can
It's
stay on,
got-
he can stay on the planning commission.
If he's a trustee on the board, he can't be, so you're saying that.
So that would mean one of the members
He
of.
is.
one of
Right,
the
no, I
members-
know. But what you're saying is that if he won his election and became a trustee on the board of trustees, he would retain his position on the planning commission, and he would also be able to retain his position on the zoning board of appeals. Am I understanding correctly? I just want to make sure what you're saying that I'm
Well,
understanding.
you'd have to prove you can't.
According to the bylaws.
Well, he could give up the planning commission and still be on the Board of Appeals, or
Yeah.
vice versa. Depends on what happens in the fall.
I just want to make sure.
Well,
that-
you can, I'd like to see him approved. I have use for him until the election.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to check.
And then the new board can decide.
Hmm?
And then the new board can decide.
Absolutely. I'll
So I
make the
make-
motion.
I'll second the motion for Gary Rupp to be appointed to the Board of Appeals.
DeShano,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Davidson,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Glass.
Yes.
The only thing left is the sheriff's report, and I do have August sheriff's report. We had a dozen reckless drivers.
Keep reading.
I only have one for August, so I wasn't holding that.
And it looked like we got 44 traffic stops, 15 wires down. Of course, we had the windstorm. Third from the top, bucket 3. Road hazards, we had 6. I'm sure the wind and the storm that went through in the middle of the month probably affected all of those. So, I make a motion we adjourn.
I'll second.
On 9/11, there will be a prayer on the county building at 7 PM.
9/11 Memorial, 7 PM, steps of the Bay County building. I will just reiterate it, an FYI square.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Adjourned at 8:34.